Hello YouTube, Liz here. So I wanted to show you some of my whips, my crochet work in progress, and they're all shawls. I've been trying a few different patterns to see which one will work up the quickly, because I spent so much time on the peacock shawl. I started that in May and I didn't work on it consistently, but I just finished it recently, a few days ago, and I thought, that's too long. I don't know what is taking me so long. I didn't work on it out in the living room because I have 3 little dogs, and I only worked on it when I was by myself in the craft room, so that kind of limited my time because I'm usually not by myself, and I don't spend much time in here without interacting with the dogs, and I didn't want to get any dog hair in my yarn. If I sat on the couch in the living room with my project in my lap, I'm going to get dog hair on it, and it's going as a gift, and so I like to be really careful about not getting anything in it. So I only worked on it when I was in here or in the car. So anyway, I found a new pattern, and it's called this is a butterfly stitch prayer shawl, and it's a free pattern. I watched Fiber Spider's tutorial on it, fortunately, because the written pattern doesn't exactly go. There's one spot where I wouldn't have known what to do properly. It says shawl designed by NJ Sharon and modified by Debbie Adams. Okay, I am using my new Premier DK Colors anti-pilling 383 yard, a light 3, calls for a 4mm or a G crochet hook, and it is 100% acrylic, 100% anti-pilling acrylic. So this is what it looks like. It's called Sunshine. Okay, and here's how it's working up so far with the butterfly stitch, and it's really fun because you see those little butterflies in there. I think as I go, my butterflies will get better, and as the yarn changes colors and gets to the darker color, like right now I'm getting to this darker yellow, the pale colors, the butterflies didn't show up that great, but I think they're going to start showing up better. And when I get to the grays that are in here, that's a darker gray, a light gray, and then back to that gray. So we'll see, but I'm using an H, a 5mm crochet hook. I wanted to go up a size so I can try to move it along. That's really fun, making that pattern. It's a 3-row repeat, I think, but if you make it, just know that when you're in the row, there's the row where you make the big loops. There's 2 rows of that. Okay, the big spaces. There's a chain 7 stitch space in there. You do 2 rows of that, and when you come back around, you are going to take a long treble, I can't remember what they call it, but you wrap the yarn around your crochet hook 3 times, and you go down to the stitch below, the rows below. Let's see where I am here. It's upside down, and then you grab that and you capture it and you pull it. It makes a really cute butterfly. I saw a flower design too like it that might be kind of fun. And then it's got, so you do those rows, and then you come back and you do this more solid row of half double crochets. The pattern doesn't tell you to do 2 half double crochets in the chain 7 spaces. So fortunately I was watching Fiber Spider, and he tells you to do that. So very good. I'm really having fun with that pattern. It's a nice little change from my virus shawl pattern. I have the written pattern. It's from that old school girl again .files.wordpress.com. Virus Shawl Crochet Pattern Instructions by Connie. And it was not easy to find, but I did. And I've been using it ever since. And now I know the pattern, I've got it memorized. When I start another shawl, I do have to look, and once I get going, I'm okay. But I am using these different patterns and I have to go back to it and I think, wait a minute, which one am I on? But it's really good for me. It's good exercise. So I'm making another shawl. This is a Virus Shawl pattern in Red Heart Unforgettable. And this is my first experience working with a roving type yarn. This colorway is Cappuccino. There is a medium 4 and it calls for a J crochet hook. It is 270 yards and it's acrylic, made in Turkey. Okay, it feels like working with hair. That's the best way I can describe it. It's got a halo. As you can see, it's fuzzy, and I was real worried. I thought, oh man, this stuff's going to tangle on me like crazy if I have to frog it. But here's how it's working up. I use a stitch marker in the middle so I can keep my mind in the game. It's extremely soft. It's so cushy. It's going to be a lovely shawl. It does tend, I have dry skin on my hands, and it does tend to want to pull as I'm working with it, so I keep my lotion bottle handy. But I have not had any trouble frogging it. I have had 2 incidents. When I first started this skein, when the yarn barf that came out was just a mess, and I almost cut it, and I thought, no, I can't do that because then I won't have enough yarn. So I was persistent and patient, and I pulled it apart. I ended up needing to yank on it to pull the strands apart when they got fouled together, but I did. And then you know, it wants to be fuzzy, and that's the nature of that kind of yarn. But it's not bad working with it, and it's so slick. It just like slides through my hook. It's incredible. It feels like I'm working with silky hair. That's the best way I can describe it. But I'm using I didn't use a J, did I? Oh yeah, I did. This one I'm using a 6mm J. So I used the hook that's called for the yarn. Okay, so I've got another one going. Using the Virus Shawl pattern in Unforgettable, Red Heart Unforgettable, same thing. And this colorway is called Sunrise. And oh man, is it beautiful. See those beautiful hot colors. And it's working up like this. This color in here is kind of a dark teal blue. It's just beautiful out in the sun. I'll have to take some pictures when I'm all done outside. But working with that yarn is not a problem. I'm doing all right. And I'm using an 5.5mm for some reason. I think I'd already started this one before, or maybe I don't have another J. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so now here's the deal. I need your advice. I'm following Fiber Spider's granny stitch. It's a mosaic stitch, the one where you do the front post double crochets, and then to make it all come out on front, you have to work in the back of the post on every other row. So it's really working up quickly, and so far I'm favoring this because of the speed that it's working up. That's kind of fun. But I'm using, first time I've used Lion Brand ice cream yarn. Okay, this one is Cookies and Cream. It is 100% acrylic, 394 yards, and it says it's a light 3. It feels like more like a 4, but I'm using a 5.5mm I crochet hook, and it calls for an H. I went up a size on purpose to see if I could work it up more quickly. And the stitch definition is not suffering for it. I think it still looks just fine like that. I'm making granny squares using this same stitch with the mandala ombre cool, and I've got a whole bunch of them going. Let's see. And I'm using that mosaic stitch. But see, with that, since you're going around a granny square, you don't have to do the every other row, front post, back post. So it's more straightforward. But I've got a stack of these. I'm making a blanket with that. I need to get some more of that mandala ombre. They don't have any more of it at my Walmart. I hope they get some more in. I'm getting about 4 squares per cake, and I need like I think 30 squares. I can't remember now. I have to revisit that. Okay, here's my problem. I'm using the ice cream yarn, and I got this at Hobby Lobby. Okay, this is how it looks. It's a gradient. I realized after I started this pattern, it uses a lot of yarn. So I need more of it. And Hobby Lobby is far away, and that's not on my route anytime soon. So I looked at Michael's had ice cream big scoop, and I thought, oh boy, now I've got it. I don't have to worry anymore about it. This is cookies and cream big scoop. It also says a light 3, and it calls for an H crochet hook, 5mm. It's 100% acrylic, and it's got 1,022 meters. Oh, here we go. 1,117 yards. Okay, this doesn't look like this. Now, is it just the way it's wound? Because I looked on the Lion Brand website and it says it's the same yarn. So I don't want to ruin my project. I can't tell. So if any of you have experience using the ice cream yarns, the smaller size skein, this is the 3.5 ounce 100 gram 394 yard size versus this one, the big scoop. If anybody could please tell me if that yarn's the same. I tried to look and find comments, but I haven't found anybody making a comment about that yet. So I'd really appreciate it before I get any farther into it. I don't want to ruin my project. I don't want the colors, you know, it's not really striping, but still, you know, it may come out, it may make a completely different pattern, colorway. So, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please comment down below if you have any questions about the patterns. Oh, I forgot to show you this, the one I told you about in the last video. Where is it? Here we go, the top. The one that Debbie, the Canadian crocheter, was making. It's in this magazine, 123 Skein Crochet. I ordered it from Annie's, and here's what the top looks like. It's really pretty. I thought, oh, I gotta make that. Lacy Stitch Sweater is what it's called. And I'm using a 9mm. I'm using one of these Yarnology hooks. I really like them. I loved them until I started getting some other hooks, and then I've been experimenting with others. I'm using this Huga yarn. This one's called Aloe Red Heart. It's acrylic. It's a bulky 5. The pattern called for Dreamy, and that's what Debbie made hers with. But I didn't have Dreamy at the time. I do now that I've seen it, so I was out of town and bought it. But I have several skeins. It was on clearance at Walmart, so I went ahead and bought 5. So I wasn't sure how much I was going to need. And I did start it, but I decided to frog it and start again after I remeasure everything. So we'll see. As I was working up that pattern, it works up quickly. I thought, wow, that's really neat. She said that it just took, I think she said 3 evenings, a couple of hours each evening to make it, and I think that'll work. So we'll see how it goes. I'll have to show you my progress on that as I go. So thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. That'd be awesome. And I hope everybody's having a good summer. It finally got really hot here, and the monsoon didn't start like we thought it was going to. It usually starts by now, but we haven't had any rain, and it's just been real dry, which is fine. But we can feel the humidity start to creep up. And I'm originally from Houston, so I know humidity. And when I first moved to Arizona in 1995, people were talking, it was July, and people were talking about the humidity, and I was like, humidity? Really? It's 3. It was 97 when I left Houston and drove to Tucson. But I'm starting to understand what they're talking about, because over the years I've acclimated to the drier climate, and now when I go to humid places I really notice it. So enough about that. I will talk to you guys another time. Thanks for watching. Bye.